be exactly what you want to be without all of the fear around you. We have to stand up together. Welcome everybody to another episode of Built to Exit with me, your humble host, Jason Sisneros. You're going to see today, normally I'm wearing a suit. I know, I'm dressed nice. I do my hair, all that kind of stuff for these kind of episodes. But today the swag came in. The swag came in for Built to Exit. So I am rocking it today. We've got the coffee cup, we've got the hoodie, we've got all the stuff, and I'm so excited, so proud of the brand, how far it's come. Those of you that have been with me since the beginning of it, you know that we started out as Anton J, damn near 15 years ago, and we still have Anton J, but now we have the Built to Exit brand, which is hyper-focused on helping companies be able to prepare themselves for an exit and to optimize how much money they make and the amount of time that it takes and the control that is put into the hands of the business owner. Because a lot of times when people go to sell their business, it ends up not being a good experience and ends up not getting sold, or end up getting sold for less money than you were looking for, or it takes way longer to get your money. And sometimes those things just don't end up working out. So we have an unbelievable team. We have an unbelievable system, an unbelievable process to be able to be with you. The business owner, the one that has built something or is building something, because you are among the smartest of business owners that realize our sort of tagline, which is everybody exits, how matters. And so whether you're going to exit now, you're going to exit in 3 years, you're going to exit in 5 years, you're going to exit in 10, it takes some structure. Right? It takes some structure. It takes you knowing exactly how to be able to build that. That is what we do at Built to Exit. That is why I'm rocking the merch today. And because it just came in the mail literally last night. And so we're super excited about that. This last week, those of you, first off, let me welcome anybody that is new. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the team. If you are watching this on video, that means that you probably were not with us on Saturday. I do this show every single Saturday from 9 a.m. to whenever we end up stopping, but it's between 10 and 10:30, but 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Saturday on X at the J Sisneros. On Twitter, you can come and find us. The previous show is always linked to the top. And then on Friday night or early Saturday morning, we always pin this show so that you can come in live, have a great conversation. It's full. I'm sitting here looking right now at my phone. Everybody live. They're in the audience. They're doing wherever they are around the world, and they are listening live so that we can have an interaction at the end. That's what this environment is about, right? This is why we're building this, is so that we can all hang out together. They're amazing. They show up every single Saturday. They're dedicated to their businesses. They're all progressing with their companies. They're all building their companies to exit for whatever that is. And so join us any Saturday, and you're going to come meet amazing business owners just like you, going through all the same stuff. And the idea is for us all to do business together and for us to maintain and hold together the small and mid-sized companies so we can advantage each other, so that we can exist and so that we can grow and so that we can thrive and so that this opportunity is there for our children, our grandchildren, and for generations to come. So that's why we do the show. Come and join us live. Great people, great stories, great conversations. But today I wanted to reflect on this last weekend. It was Sunday. Well, really, it was Saturday. It was Sunday. It was Monday. It was part of Tuesday for us, where my wife and I attended the 60th inauguration in this country. And it was my first inauguration. It was unbelievable to be a part of history, to watch it happening, to be able to be at the inaugural balls, to be able to be around people who were so excited, who had participated in, if you stop and think about it, our form of government and how long it has not only existed, but improved itself over time. And to have dueling ideologies, right, come together. This was a different election. Everybody that was part of it knows that that's true. But to have dueling ideologies come together and duke it out and to have the people of this country be able to have a say. You go back through history, you go to a lot of different countries around the world, and you see today that there's still not that influence, right? Our government, our form of government, the greatest document ever written with our Constitution, which is the greatest anti-consolidation document of power, calls it consolidation of power, ever written. It spreads it out. It literally goes out to the one. And it reminds me of the show because I'm always, interacting. I'm always feeling like I'm speaking to the one. Yes, there's a lot of people that are in the crowd right now live. There's a lot of people that watch this on replay, but I'm always speaking to that one and to the one that is looking to make a difference. And that's kind of how our Constitution works. It's looking to the most vulnerable. It's looking to protect the most vulnerable amongst us instead of mob rule. And so anyway, I don't want to get real deep into politics because this is a business show, but politics does influence business. Business does influence politics. This show, I'm a big advocate going all the way back to 1890 of the Sherman Act, where we've got the Constitution. The Sherman Act was an anti-consolidation of wealth. That became antitrust. We have a lot of that happening right now. That's what I'm against when I'm dealing with politics and politicians. That's my conversation with them. People that I was engaging with, the politicians that got elected. As I was walking around, this was my conversation. Why? Because I'm absolutely in love with my community. And who's my community? You're my community. Small and mid-sized businesses, 0 employees to 499. Obviously you want to grow beyond that. That's kind of the outcome that you want to, but I'm in love with this community. I'm in love with the outcomes. I am a member of this community. My life has been try a business. I failed, right? We here in this community, we call that an involuntary exit. I then was able to build it up and have my first experience at selling a company where I got my ass kicked because I didn't know what I was doing. Got less money than I should have, and it took way longer than it should have. And it took way longer than it should have for me to be able to collect my money. And then I started to understand you can custom tailor your business to the best buyer on the planet, which I think the smartest buyers out there are private equity firms, and custom tailor it to be able to control you as the business owner, to be able to control that final transaction, the amount of money you get and the time that it takes to be able to close that deal. That's the principles by which I started building my own businesses. And I did that over a period of years. But the general opportunity, the opportunity that we all have with this thing called small business in a country that has a constitution, that has a peaceful transfer of power from one leader to the next leader, from one party to the next party. It is breathtaking in the eye blink of history for us to be able to be a part of it. And I stood and paused in awe multiple times while my wife and I were walking around our nation's capital. And while we were attending, while we were having conversations, I just paused, and the weight and the realization of what an amazing country we live in. The blessing that we have to be here breathing free air, to be able to have, even if it's a small part, but to have a part in how we're governed and who governs us and what rules they govern us with is a breathtaking honor to be a part of. And most of us, as we know, we get in a lot of trouble. And I think that's where we've been the last basically 20 years, we've gotten in a lot of trouble because we've abdicated. There's a principle that I talk a lot about in business called abdication versus delegation. Abdication basically just means, hey, I'm going to abdicate all the power to somebody else running this country because I'm out getting mine. Delegation is, I'm going to be civically involved. I'm going to know the subjects. I'm going to know the issues. I'm going to know the policies. I'm going to know the politicians, and I'm going to inform. I'm going to make an informed vote, or get involved, city council or in some way. I'm going to get involved because that's my civic duty. And I think we've done a lot of abdication, and I believe what we've seen happen in the last certainly 4 years is that people are back involved in their government, back involved in knowing what is going on and how the systems work, and digging into policies, digging into how the Supreme Court works, all of these things. And business is no different, is that for years, and I know that this is true, business owners have just abdicated to the people that are in their business. They've abdicated to the business environment at large, rather than delegating and saying, you know what, I'm going to start with what I want my business to create for me and my family first, right? We call that the end game. And then I'm going to reverse engineer to where I am right now. And then I'm going to stack and I'm going to build that asset to a place where it no longer needs me and it becomes an asset somebody else wants to buy. That's all of y'all. That's this built to exit community. That's how we think. And it's the right way to think. So we're people that are here in this environment, that are part of this community. We don't abdicate. We are literally delegating. We are delegating to our employees. We're delegating to technology. We're delegating because we think things through, because we have a specific end game in mind. And that's why I love this community. It's a constant conversation. It's a constant upgrade. It's a constant input to where people want to go and what they want to do with their own career. So I wanted to just go through my experience though, at the 60th presidential inauguration. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has helped hundreds of clients and thousands of growth course students fix, scale, and successfully master their businesses. To put it simply, my team and I help people turn their businesses into machines that create cash. To better support startups and other mid-sized companies, my team and I developed a phenomenal and comprehensive digital growth course where I poured decades of business ownership and know-how into 20 hours of content. This course is not easy. It's not an easy pill, but demands real work from you to implement the blueprints that I've developed. We know that reaching financial freedom is never easy, but totally worth it. Go to growthcourse.com right now to learn more about the course and get started on your business journey today. And I watched Donald Trump take the oath of office, and I couldn't help but reflect on the cyclical nature of both politics and business. I run everything through the filter of business. If you own a business, we run everything through the filter of business and owning one. And there was a couple of lessons that I learned. I watched Trump, right, take office, and he went immediately to work. We're used to, and I'm going back, this is not a Republican or a Democrat thing, but we are used to politicians saying a bunch of stuff, and then the election's over and they basically do really nothing, right? And think about us in our own businesses, right? A lot of times we get everybody together and we're pumped up, and we get to the end of the year and we're like, okay, we did $10 million in sales this year. And then we get around a table and we're like, how much are we going to do next year? And Keith Cunningham had the greatest phrase that I've ever heard before. He had this phrase called rectal pull. Okay. Those of you that need to Google it or look in your dictionary, you can figure this out. is a rectal pull. And then we sit around a table and we get everybody all pumped up, and we're having a Christmas party and we're planning for the next year. We go, we did $10 million this year. How much are we going to do next year? 11 million. Okay, cool. Let's do that. And it's basically a rectal pull. Boop, We pull it out, we throw it up on the board, we get to the end of next year and we go, did we hit 11 million? No, we did 9 million, but how much are we going to do next year? Let's do 11 million. And this is the extent of business planning. And instead of being, taking responsibility, and that's what we do. This is what we advocate for, is to say, whatever it is, then we have to attach. Let's say, okay, you want to go from 10 million to 11 million. What was working last year? What are the systems and process in place? What do we do to have to go to 11 million? Could we stay at $10 million and maybe make $1 million more in profit? Because that's ultimately what this is all about. That $1 million in profit may turn into, $500,000 of operating capital, and then the mother of all money is your free cash flow. Like, how much of that is going to turn into free cash flow? Because that's the thing that funds your exit. That's the thing that funds your future. That's the thing that funds your children's college. That's the thing that funds your trip to Paris. That's the thing that funds your charities that you love. It's that free cash flow. And so being very strategic about it and getting to work immediately. Because what I watch happen with most businesses is January 1st happens. Everybody comes back to work between the 4th and the 10th sometime, and you start to crank it back up. And most businesses are doing just a version of what they did last year. They don't actually go to work. And what I watched happen, like this incredible historic thing that was going on, I watched Trump sit down. Okay, cool, great. I'm sworn in. Let's go to work. And he goes and he starts signing executive orders to keep the promises that he said he was going to do, and the things that he was going to do to protect the country, and the things that he was going to do to lower taxes and to get the prices down and to get business rolling again, and all of these other things. He just sat down and went to work. It was unbelievable to watch. And so I thought about that, and then I started thinking, about the uncertainty. Okay, sorry, dropped my headphones for my production team. Just cut that out. I just dropped it. So anyway, but I started to think about, okay, those of us that own businesses, those of you that are listening to me, I know. I know at some level that you are now thinking about building your business to an exit. You are now thinking about your systems and process. You have taken more responsibility. And I started to think about the psychology that people start to employ when there's a new president. We for far too long and far too many times, I believe that people lay their influence, their power at the feet of things that they can't control. So I started to think about it, and I started to think about all the businesses that I've grown in the business, and when I started in business, and how many presidents have gone through, and what I have done through each and every president. And it hasn't really mattered. Okay? It hasn't really mattered, because the principles of business, think about this, merchants, which is what we are, the merchant class. We are the ones that move goods and services. We are the ones that innovate. We are the ones that make sure people have food in their mouth, and that their plumbing is working, and that their heating and their cooling is working, and that they're all of these things that the world marches on because of who we are to the world. That 10%, there's 33 million of us in the United States. That's 10% of the entire country that does 60% of the GDP, 18 trillion, somewhere around $18 trillion. We do 60% of the hiring. Almost 90% of the workforce works for us, small and mid-sized businesses. And I started to think about that. Does it really matter who's president? Okay, yes. Taxes, regulations, we're going to go through some of the things that matter, but at the core of it, are you building your business to serve your clients? When I started out this particular episode, I've had several conversations this week, and I was talking to policymakers and politicians and all that kind of stuff in DC. And it dawned on me. I've always said I fall in love with the outcome of my clients, right? I teach that. Fall in love with the outcome of your target audience and serve them better than anybody else. And I started to realize even deeper as I was advocating for y'all and for our community, to policymakers, people that can do things and pass laws and help us. I really love our community. Like, it's a genuine passion that I have. If you're live in our audience, you get to come and you get to listen to some of the stories. You get to hear what people are doing as they've accepted that merchant identity, right? I own a business. The outside world can be burning down or could be going great or be going whatever it is, but it's about me and the machine that I am building to be able to serve a group of people who I have fallen in love with their outcome. And I love our community. Y'all are such difference makers. Like, I started thinking about, and I'm telling stories, not about myself, not about my success, not about the stuff, but I'm telling stories about the people that are live in the audience right now, about what they've done with their business and where they're headed, and the family that just sold their business and now they're free to go do other things, whether that's start a business, do a charity, or go sail the 7 seas. We talk about it all the time. I love this. And I also started to think about, who's the other people that I fall in love with. I've fallen in love with the outcome of other consultants because I can help them. We have systems and we have processes, right? We're training our very first group of people on January 31st, February 1st, and 2nd in Charleston, our very first group of people who I already know are in love with your outcomes, that have been committed to the art, the science of consulting for other people. I want everybody to know what I know about how I set myself free. And I'm watching other people do that. People that haven't paid us a dime, haven't gotten the Built to Exit course, haven't done a deep dive, they're just listening to these shows over and over and over again. And it just made me smile and made me super happy, because this is the long term for Built to Exit, is for us to have an advocate as small businesses, to have an advocate in Washington, D.C. that never allows the phrase non-essential to be applied to us ever again, because it could not be further from the truth. We face some challenges, right? We face the onslaught of AI and the race for people to give away their information and that type of stuff. There's got to be legislation. Who is advocating for small and mid-sized companies right now to be able to utilize AI as a tool for us, right? As opposed to tools for governments and tools for the big out of integrity businesses. Who's advocating? It's us. It's this community. It was me in those small conversations with a senator here, with a congressman there, with a policymaker there, with a lobbyist over here. Having those conversations, that's the long term of what happens when we all band together, is we can protect ourselves with the numbers. Nobody's doing that. We do 18 trillion. Nobody is doing that. And then I go, okay, cool. What's the best thing that we can possibly do at Built to Exit to be able to continue down that path, to be able to have a voice? It's for you to take these principles, to take these systems, to apply it in your business, and for you to go from 1 million to 2 million, 2 million to 4 million, 4 million to 6 million, and then for you to be able to have an exit if you want it, or to be able to sit on that cash flow and go do other things, or for you to be able to sell that company, put $15 million to $30 million in your pocket, and be free. To be able to go back and say, for my brothers and sisters, I can now have a voice. I now have more power. I now have more time. It all starts with you. If you don't do better, Built to Exit and the future that I see that we need for our community doesn't happen. And we have to hope that the right person with the right morals ends up in the presidency and the Senate and the House and the Supreme Court. Have they shown that the small business community, that your business, forget about all of the high-minded stuff that I'm talking about right now, have they shown a desire to support you? Because it's you and me and the 33 million other business owners that support the tax base. That's where the taxes are coming from. Have they spent a lot of time catering to you? I don't think so, or at least certainly not enough. And so I got fired up because I was like, man, I got just a glimpse. Like, I've been talking about this for the last few years. My team knows it. The team knows that Built to Exit exists for that purpose, 4 or 5 years down the road, for us to be able to do that and advocate. But it always comes back to the business. Are you doing better? Do you have systems and processes? We call it going back to the drawing board. We call it going back to the drawing board. Whenever somebody encounters us, it's like, okay, we know what you have. You have a business. It's been meeting whatever. It's not doing exactly what you want it to do, or else we wouldn't be having a conversation. But what we do is we always have to draw back and say, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board. Because obviously you have a business that's ongoing, but we got to go back to the drawing board and set up your foundation, reset that up. We have a 90-day reset for the foundation of your business that reworks it so that it's a foundation you can build on. And then from that foundation, you can go to your end game, which we want to be really, really crystal clear about, and say, okay, cool. You want to exit at 5 million. You want to put 7 million in your pocket. You want to put 15 in million. Okay, cool. Now we know your end game. Now we go back and we build on that foundation to build the exact assets that you need to be able to get to a place where somebody will buy your business for whatever your exit number is. Always starts with where you are and going back to the drawing board. And so I laid that out and I started to think, what are the things that we need to be concerned about, right? Are you a business owner that's looking to build your company into a machine that creates cash? I'm Jason Sisneros, chairman and founder of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has turned around, merged, or prepped for sale hundreds of companies just like yours. I'm best known as the architect when it comes to fixing and building companies across the globe. My experience comes from owning and exiting over 20 of my own companies successfully. It's that real-world experience that I've converted into the ultimate blueprint that has saved and grown my clients' businesses. If you're tired of getting bad advice, have bought all the books, all the coaching programs, and still aren't seeing the success that you were promised, it might be time to work with a team that has actual experience and a track record of success. Please scan the QR code or visit antonj.com to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if we can help you reach your outcomes. That's antonj.com, ANTONJAE.com. During the Reagan era, you could go back to Carter. I don't want to do that, but everybody knows what happened in the Carter administration. But during the Carter administration, there were companies that were succeeding, right? This is kind of what I want to make my point. And I'm going to put some filler in here just a second before I end this episode, is that businesses have succeeded in the Great Depression and companies have gone out of business in great booms, in huge forward progress in business. It really comes down to you, to the individual. For us not to look at, oh my God, Trump's in office, now I'm going to do great. Or, oh my God, Trump's in office, now I'm going to do bad. Or whoever the next president is, whoever's been the president before. I can tell you that there was a lot of advancement that me and a lot of the businesses that we work with during the Biden years, which were not super good. It wasn't a friendly environment for business owners, right? But there's a lot of people that did really well. There's a lot of people that went out of business. Right? There's a lot of business that got absorbed up into what we call unethical businesses. So let me get to some of the points that I wanted to make. So I'm going to share a story from the Reagan era that perfectly illustrates our first point about business sentiment. In 1980, when Reagan took office, inflation was at 13.5%. 13.5. Right? We think interest rates are bad now. And interest rates had hit 21%. Many predicted economic doom. Yet during this period, a small software company called Adobe was founded. They weren't focused on the macroeconomic climate. They were laser focused on solving a specific problem: digital printing and document creation. And by 1986, they went public. The lesson: while positive business sentiment helps, it's not the determining factor. The key point there, they weren't focused on the macroeconomic climate. What does that mean for us in plain terms? The macroeconomic means we're paying attention to all the things that are going on around us. And trust me, there's a lot. We've got AI coming at us. We've got possible wars. We've got, possible terrorist attacks. We've got, taxes. We've got all our competition. We've got all of these things. That's the macro. But if you were to narrow it down and to say, what does my business do better than anybody else? What does it do that's better than anybody else? And if it's not, you work on the product and the service to make sure that it is the best. But what does it do, and who are my clients? Who are my clients? Because regardless of what's going on in the economy, regardless of who's sitting in the Oval Office, you have a business that you are personally responsible for as a merchant to fall in love with the outcome of your business and your target audience and your employees or the team members that you put around you, right? Doesn't really matter. Regulatory. During Clinton's administration, we saw the birth of Amazon, who I think is wildly unethical these days. Despite the introduction of new internet regulations and the complex discussions around e-commerce taxation, Bezos remained focused on his core mission: building the world's most customer-centric company. The regulatory environment was uncertain, but Amazon's systems and processes were built with compliance and scalability in mind from day one. Okay, so they became big enough to be able to become unethical, but back in that day, they were throwing regulations like crazy during the Clinton at the internet companies, the digital world. So let's look at the Bush era tax cuts. 2001, while many businesses celebrated the reduced rates, companies like Apple under Steve Jobs didn't base their strategy on tax advantages. Instead, they focused on innovation and building valuable intellectual property. When they launched the iPod and iTunes, they weren't thinking of tax implications. They were thinking about solving customer problems and building scalable systems. Okay? The antitrust. Size doesn't matter, systems do. Consider Microsoft's antitrust battles during the late 90s. Now, again, I'm not going to dive too far into that, but while government was concerned about monopolistic practices, yeah, right. Smaller companies like Salesforce were busy building their own empires, focusing on creating valuable, systematic approaches to customer relationship management. Right? They weren't worried about being too big. They focused on being too good to ignore. Okay? Again, there's some political stuff in there that I'm not going to jump into as far as, the supposed how we're going after antitrust. It's BS. We all know it. But the point is that Salesforce was able to come along. Was Microsoft, the software king? Yeah, but Salesforce, they focused on a small area where they could serve a specific area of clientele, and they became too good to ignore. Question for you. Are you, your product and or service, are you too good to ignore? Serious question for you to contemplate. So with Trump's return to office, we're looking at a business environment that promises reduced regulations, business-friendly tax policies, and a focus on American enterprise. However, the key lessons remain. Successful exits aren't about timing the market or betting on political outcomes. They're about building businesses that are too valuable to ignore. So throughout these presidential cycles, one truth remains constant. Businesses built on solid fundamentals with systematic approach to solving customer problems are always in demand. I want to say that again. Businesses built on solid fundamentals with systematic approaches to solving customer problems are always in demand. Whether under Democrat or Republican leadership, companies that focus on strong customer relationships, scalable systems and processes, clear value propositions, documented procedures and operations, and strong intellectual property are the ones that attract buyers regardless of the political climate. So as we enter the new era under Trump's leadership, the environment looks promising for business growth and development. Lower corporate taxes, reduced regulations, pro-business stance create favorable conditions. However, your focus should remain on building a business that solves real problems, can run without you, has documented systems and processes, shows consistent growth, and maintains strong customer relationships. So while favorable political climate can certainly help, the truth is that great businesses can be built in any era. The key is not to get distracted by the political theater, but to remain focused on building something of genuine value. Under Trump's new term, we're likely to see favorable conditions for business growth. But remember, your success will ultimately come down to how well you execute on timeless business principles. The best time to build a business worth buying isn't about who's in office. It's about your commitment to excellence in execution, regardless of external conditions. And that's the summary. That's the summary for today, is build a business that regardless of who's in a president or who your neighbor is, who your competition is, what the tax situation is, what the world scenarios are, a merchant, right, which you are at heart. You belong to a long and storied, a venerated group of human beings throughout history called merchants. And all I want to do for the rest of 2025 into 2026 is make sure that you are focused on making sure that you are too good to ignore, that your product has fallen in love with the outcome of your ideal client, and that you are speaking directly to them, and that you are delivering on the promise that your marketing is making. That, my friends, will end up freeing you from your business and then also correspondingly turning it into something that somebody else will eventually want to buy. That's why we're here. That's why we do the show. These are the conversations that we're having. I am honored. It was so deeply moving, so deeply patriotic to take part in the peaceful transfer of power in what I believe is the greatest. And I know I have a lot of listeners from around the world, but I am so proud of my country. I am so proud to be American. I'm so proud to have taken back and started to be take the responsibility of being civically involved in the decisions that are going to affect my kids and my grandkids down the road. I was so proud of this country this last week with my wife and I. I just, again, caught myself smiling and in awe of where we live and the people that have died and sacrificed throughout history to be able to create a world where we are connected right now through time and distance and geographic location through technology that can allow us to communicate with each other, for somebody to be able to accept my words and to be able to apply them, for us to be able to meet in real life and give each other hugs on stages and around the world, to be able to communicate through things called podcasts. For us that may not have a pedigree in our bloodline, to be able to come from nothing and nowhere, just like I have. I'm a nobody from nowhere that's been able to do something with my life because of the tool you have in your hand called business, because of the draw and the desire in your heart that's called being a merchant. It's time. It's time. And I'm speaking to the one right now that knows what I'm saying. It is time for you to build your business to exit. It's time. I love you all. Again, join us every Saturday on Twitter at the Jason Sisneros. Come meet the greatest entrepreneurs and merchants that I have had the honor to meet. They're always in the audience. You get to meet them. They do stuff that you need. You do stuff that they need. We got to do business with each other so that this never goes away. This awesome opportunity, this awesome responsibility for us to be able to create our own destinies in life. I love you all. I'm Jason Sisneros. I will see you next Saturday from, maybe not next Saturday. Well, maybe we'll just do it all together. We're doing that training. So maybe we'll just do the podcast when everybody's in the same room and make it a party. But we're here every Saturday, 9 a.m. to roughly 10:30 every week on Twitter. And if you need to sign up, go to builttoexit.biz, take the assessment there, get yourself on our monthly news, our show notes, so that you get this video when it's edited and you know everything that we're doing in life. Okay. Look forward to seeing some of you on the road. Got lots of speaking engagements coming up, lots of podcasts that I'll be on. Today, I did a presentation for the LifeWave group that's going out to about 1 million people. Hello to everybody in the LifeWave family. That presentation goes out today. I can't wait to start getting feedback about how that went. So love you all very, very much. And we'll see you next week on Built to Exit. Go build your business so that eventually you can exit, get your free time back, and chase your dreams in life. I'm Jason Sisneros, and we'll see you next week.